Hello, everybody, and welcome to Good Vibes FC. I'm Sam Mewis. I'm coming to you from the Women's Game World Headquarters in Vermont.
And I'm Lynn Williams. Ooh, I don't even know my name. And I'm Lynn Williams coming to you from New Jersey.
Okay, Lynn, it's been a while since it's been just you and me on this podcast. I'm very excited to chat with you. I need to tell you about my weekend. I had the honor and pleasure of going to a wedding, but I had the interesting situation of sleeping in a cabin in a bunk bed.
Pause.
Because the wedding was at a campsite.
Okay. Yes.
I did not sleep very well. I did not really sleep at all. It was one of those situations where I laid there and heard everything going around me. And just I think I felt not secure. Do you know when you have to feel safe where you're sleeping?
Yeah. Well, were you nervous of animals?
Not really animals. I think it was just it was a new place. I was in a little twin bunk bed. It was hilarious. It was very, very silly.
Was there other people in your cabin?
Well, no, it was just me and Pat, luckily, in our cabin. But it was the cabin was meant to house 10 children. So there was 5 bunk beds in there. And we both slept on the bottom bunks across the cabin from each other. So I wasn't with Pat. I just had brought twin sheets and a pillow. And it was just walls. But I literally didn't sleep at all.
You needed my futon.
Lynn, exactly. I did need your futon in your living room and I would have slept like an angel. I wanted to power rank good places to sleep and not good places to sleep.
Okay.
Starting with a cabin.
Apparently not good at all. Apparently really, really bad.
Okay. For me, it goes, bottom. I don't even know if it was the bottom because at least I was horizontal. For me, plane is the worst.
Well, depending on what seat you're in a plane.
Yeah. If you're in first class, great. If you can lay all the way down, great. You should sleep. But it's still not great.
I honestly don't mind being in a plane where I can first class lay down all the way because
you're not telling me you're getting REM cycles on a plane.
No, but I'm resting. I'm resting. Nobody's bothering me. I'm getting service.
Okay, so but what is worse than that? A car, a hotel bed, an air mattress,
the ground.
Okay, yeah, the ground.
The ground at a campsite is pretty bad.
That is pretty bad. I guess in an airport, trying to sleep in a chair with all the noises going around. In a hospital, God forbid. Let's ward off any hospital visits for any of us, but that would also be pretty bad with all the beeping and whatnot.
Yeah, that would be terrible. I've done that. Been there, but done that.
Let's move up to some nicer places to sleep. This is getting dark.
My own bed.
Yeah. Your own bed, lit, quiet, dark, comfortable, secure.
Comfort. Did we say that already?
Soft sheets.
Soft mattress. I got a new mattress. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me. It's like a little cocoon.
Oh my God, I'm so happy for you.
A hotel bed sometimes. That's on the next. Because sometimes they're too soft and sometimes the pillows suck and my neck gets a kink in it.
I was literally just going to say the pillows in hotels are so make or break.
Yeah. My neck is
Pat and I have started being old people about it and bringing our pillows with us wherever we go and just being our neck.
Have you ever been to somebody else's house that has an amazing bed and you're where is this?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes. And you know what? I oftentimes actually think it's the sheets. My cousin has a condo in Portland, Maine, and the sheets on those beds, every time I go there, I'm Kimmy, where do you get the sheets from?
Well, I did that with your sheets, remember? Where I was where did you get these sheets, those blue ones that you used to have?
Oh, my mom gets those for me at Bed Bath & Beyond. I have literally no idea what the brand is. Every time I need new sheets, I just go, Mom.
Help. Well, can she send me some? Because I need them too.
She's definitely listening to this, so I will tell her that her sheets are making the rounds, and I'll let everybody know in the future what this brand of sheets are.
What's the thread count? I need to know.
I don't know. I don't think they're anything crazy. They're from Bed Bath & Beyond. She just goes and gets them at the store.
Sometimes the best quality things, we're getting off topic here, but the best quality things, in my opinion, are not always anything fancy. I should know about the couch situation. I bought a fancy couch and that thing sucked. And then I went to Ashley Furniture and I've never been happier.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if you all have been around for a while listening to Lynn and I babble, you'll know that Lynn gets a new couch literally once a week. It's so bizarre. We didn't really make any definitive statements other than sleeping in your own bed is literally the best.
Air mattress is kind of bad too.
Yeah, especially if it's slowly leaking air and you wake up and your hip bone is just digging into the ground.
Also, like when you're moving around, it's like it's not fun.
Yeah, true.
Okay, so I'm so sorry you didn't sleep well. We didn't actually do a power ranking, but
We don't have to do a power ranking. It's the thought that counts. I didn't sleep well, but you know what? It was a beautiful wedding. I cried during the ceremony. I'm so happy for them. And who needs sleep, you know?
Yeah. Well, I had a fun weekend or week, but I didn't. It seems like mine was better than yours in the sleeping department, at least.
Well, that's good. I feel like you needed that.
Yeah, I did. But I went to the US Open twice, but one time I went with Rose and Sonnet, and somehow we ended up in the president's box and we met.
What does that even mean?
Exactly. I'm not sure. It basically was like the president of the tennis people.
The USTA?
Exactly. The USTA president, it's his box. And so a lot of like celebrities are in there. The seats that you have are like parallel with the court. So it's like the back shot. So your head doesn't have to go back and forth, you know?
Oh.
Like you're just watching straight on.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. Like the experience was amazing. We met a lot of cool people, but it's so funny. Somebody asked Rose, who invited you guys? And Rose turns to me and goes, Lynn, who invited us? And I go, I don't know. And I turn to Sonnet and I go, Sonnet, who invited us? And she goes, I don't know. And so the lady was like so confused because none of us knew how we got there. We were like,
It's not like you snuck in, like your tickets.
Oh, no, we didn't sneak in. We had tickets and like they like got us a driver and like it was like such a fun time. Like
so
we were
nice.
supposed to be in the box, but all of us were just like, I don't know how we got in this box specifically. Like we just asked if we can go to the tennis match.
Well, I think 3 Olympic gold medalists they can go wherever the presidents are going, you know?
That is true. So yeah, we were able to watch the Tiafoe Fritz match and poor Tiafoe lost. I felt heartbroken for him, but it was an amazing time.
That is amazing. I saw multiple other celebrities at the US Open recently, including Megan Rapinoe and Sue Bird and Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce.
Same. Well, we were sitting down. We were like, let's look for celebrities, me and Sonnet. And I start looking. And all of a sudden I go, that's Megan and Sue. So we took a picture of them from really far away and said, spotted.
I love that.
Yeah, we were just like looking at each other the whole match, which was so fun.
Well, Lynn, I'm so happy for you. We are going to get to your other news and that you're back playing in just a minute. But we have a lot to do in the podcast today, including talking about Alex Morgan's last match. We're both going to share some Alex stories and talk about what she has meant to the women's game. Then we have some other league updates, including the devastating loss of Croy Bethune for the season in the Washington Spirit. And, like I mentioned, the return of Lynn Williams to Gotham. We're also talking Ballon D'Or nominations, which are out. And one woman wasn't on the list. We're shocked. You're shocked. We're all shocked. We're going to get into it. We're also doing the return of the clones. If you were here last week, you already know what I'm talking about. We have to ask Lynn the same question we asked Becky last week. But let's get into it.
I'm going to get to the point quickly. I'm retiring.
Alex Morgan, American legend, the face of the U.S. women's national team for 15 years, who led the charge for equal pay, scored 123 international goals for the U.S., won an Olympic gold medal, won 2 World Cups, and leaves a legacy that we will always remember her as the woman who changed women's soccer forever. Alex announced her retirement last Thursday and then abruptly played in her last game. In an Instagram video, she shared that she's pregnant, and although the plan was always to step away at the end of the season, this past Sunday, September 8th, would be her final match playing professional football. Lynn, I was really surprised to hear Alex was retiring. I was so happy for her in her announcement video that she's pregnant and that she feels such peace and closure about this next phase for her. How did you feel when you watched her retirement video for the first time?
Yeah, so I watched it in the locker room with Abby Smith because my Tana was like, did you hear about Alex? And I was like, what are you talking about? We had just finished training. And so I pulled up the video and I felt really shocked, but also very happy for her. Not shocked in the sense that it was happening. I feel like she has been going back and forth if she wanted to retire or not, at least that in my experience of the camps I have been with her. But I was just shocked at how abruptly it was ending. I was like, whoa.
I know. It was only 3 days.
I know. And then I was just talking to Kelly and Rose and I was like, I just can't believe she's already played it. Like it just, everything just happened so fast. Like that's what I was more shocked about than the announcement itself. I was like, wait, what? Ooh, how do we get there? What's happening?
Yeah, I know. I think that her being pregnant obviously has some like implications on timing wise. And I kind of feel like it's like none of my business to like speculate about that. So I think even to just say that it was so quick and we only all had like 1 second to celebrate and talk about and revere Alex. Like obviously we can keep doing it for as long as we want, but I want to get into her career. I want to get into the match a little bit, but the fact that it happened so quickly feels like inverse to what it should, like how much we want to celebrate her and how much the world wants to celebrate her. Let's talk about the game really quickly. And then I want to get into a lot of like takeaways from her career and us being teammates with her and how much she's affected us. So unfortunately, the last match ended North Carolina 4 and San Diego 1. Obviously, the scoreline wasn't really the story, so that's the last time we're going to mention it. Way to go, North Carolina. But for the first time ever, multiple NWSL media partners simulcasted the game. So like this game, Alex Morgan's last game, was on like every single NWSL channel that it like could have possibly been on, which is really, really cool. Everybody wanted to watch it. There was incredible like buzz and atmosphere at the stadium. Over 26,000 fans. Alex got to walk out of the tunnel with Charlie, her daughter, wearing the mom number 13 jersey. Again, I'm going to just whisper mention she really sadly had her penalty kick saved by Casey Murphy. She reacted really well, but I think everybody, maybe even Casey Murphy, wishes that it had gone in and we could have sent her out on a high. But Alex's team did score a goal before she got subbed out in the symbolic 13th minute to thunderous applause and chants.
Well, you can hear the chants. Poetic now. It's the farewell she deserves. Alex Morgan walks off the pitch for the final time. The end of a legendary career.
That's so, it's like so sweet. I feel like I could cry just watching that. I think that it's crazy. Of course, Alex is like going to continue on and be Alex Morgan. She's going to continue to push the sport forward and women's sports in general, not just soccer, but women's sports. And it's not like she's like going away. She's going to still be around. But to know that I think it's just, like I said, so fast. Knowing that she played her last game, knowing that she's not going to be on the field anymore, knowing that, like, I think when somebody retires, you immediately almost like start thinking about all of their things in their career, like all of the big moments. And then you kind of, I think as a soccer player, you kind of put yourself in that position. You're like, holy shit, like, what is it going to feel like if I retire or when I retire? It's just emotional a little bit. You just like, you've done this for so long. It's all you really know. So
I know. I think it's also like, I spoke about this. I write a little intro in our newsletter, which comes out delivered straight to your inbox every Monday, everybody. And I was writing about this idea that Alex, yes, like you said, Lynn, of course, she is still Alex Morgan. She's still going to do incredible things. She's still a popular figure. She's still beautiful. She's still a mom. She's still a wife. Like, she's still a teammate and a friend and a daughter and is all these like awesome things. And what's really struck me about Alex in the sense that she feels ready for this next phase is that she has done such a good job like maintaining the other parts of her. Something I really struggled with in retirement was I put so much emphasis on who I was as Sam Ewis soccer player. And Alex strikes me as somebody who saw years ago, I can't do this forever. Who else am I? What else am I? The idea, I think it's so like beautiful and symbolic that she's pregnant, that she's continuing to grow this other side of her life that really has nothing to do with soccer. Like, of course, her family loves supporting her and we see Charlie on the field all the time, but it's like she's taking this next step in this next chapter and growing this part of her inside of her that she's always really like maintained and cared for really carefully. I feel like she must be at peace with this because she has identified as so many different versions of Alex Morgan.
Yeah, I think like you said, it just seems like the most natural next step. And I'm sure she felt that way. But I think that like, and I mean, I'm obviously not Alex. There's so much that she does that I can't even wrap my head around. I'm like, how do you how do you know? We've talked about this a little bit with her, where like, how do you know all the things that are happening in all the sports? And how do you know of all the things that are happening with FIFA? And how do you have all your sponsorships all lined up? And how do you know you're going to be here? Like, her calendar must look insane. But I think that maybe that's also how she has been okay with this next step too, because even her soccer career, she wasn't just a soccer player. She wasn't just like, I need to worry about my identity as a soccer player. She has had to like worry about her identity kind of through like with a whole plethora of things.
Exactly. As a brand partner, as a representative of like all these different organizations, she's so widely known, recognized. She has so many responsibilities. I want to get a little bit more into all of the ways that she's changed the game, including these things that we're talking about right now. But I quickly wanted to start with like our first impressions of Alex, Lynn. Like when I was in college, I got called into a U.S. Women's National Team training and then a camp. And I think that when you're a young player in that situation and you're suddenly like kind of teammates with somebody like Alex Morgan and Abby Wambach and Carly Lloyd, these women that you've looked up to your whole like soccer career.
Yeah.
There's like a couple things that you feel as you're like entering into those camps. So like, first of all, it's like, yeah, I am a little bit like scared of you guys. Like I am a little bit scared of Alex. I want you to like me. I want you to think I'm cool. Most importantly, I want you to think I'm good at soccer.
Yeah.
And I think what always really struck me about Alex is like, I think from the outside, people who might not know her, there would be an expectation of like, there's Alex and then there's the rest of us on the team. And Alex never made me feel like that. I felt like the moment I was Alex's teammate, we were equals. And Alex had just as much respect for me as I had for her, which is like crazy because I was like a 22-year-old nobody and like was getting megged left and right at my first training. But she is able to like look out at her team and never separate herself by her reputation or her fame. Like she was very much like, if we're a team, you're my teammate and we're in this together and we're equals. And I really, really respected that about Alex.
This isn't a first meeting story, but this reminded me of like, I feel like Alex ordered crumble for us a lot, not just us, but the entire team. And this is like such a small thing, but I think that goes
crumble,
to it.
Sorry, just crumble cookies, like a dessert for the whole team. You get it delivered to the hotel.
Exactly. And so then she would like get them delivered and cut in. Then you were like, should I pay you back? She's like, no, I got these cookies. And then she would be like, oh, Servando got us, her husband brought us these donuts. And then you'd be like, donuts after games. And then I was like, Alex, you gotta stop feeding me all these sugars. But I think that goes to your point of her just wanting to have the team together and really just being like, well, if I get something, like even going to world events, she was partnered with Beats. And so then she would get the whole team Beats. And she would bring in, so she didn't just do things first.
Wait, that's like such a good reminder. Before the 2016 Olympics, like again, I was like brand new to the team and like didn't have any cool stuff. And her and I think Pino was involved. They got us like Beats, a new iPhone, like maybe like an iPad. Like they got us like absurdly like nice tech. And I remember parading around the hotel being like, oh my God, I have all this sick stuff. Like I'm rich. And I was so pumped. But like, her generosity to share the connections that she had was like always really tangible.
Yeah. And I know that with the 2019 World Cup, like she took you guys to like this dinner and she went out of her way to make those connections and use her celebrity and bring everybody with her. And I think that is something like I deeply respect about Alex, is just how much she was going out of her way to say like, oh, of course I can do all these things, but like, I want my teammates to come with me. I want to continue to push and like drag us all along with her. But my first Alex memory, actually, she wasn't even there, but my first cap, I wore number 13. And I didn't really know I was wearing number 13 until the game started. And part of me was like, obviously really excited. Like, of course I want to wear her number. I was also the number 9 too. And she wasn't in the camp for whatever reason. I don't remember. So I was like, did you guys really have to give the person who is also playing her same position her number? And I think that like that was the first time I really felt her impact on the soccer field, because the fans were just like, Why are you wearing her number? That's Alex's number.
You're like, it wasn't up to me, you guys.
It wasn't up to me. I didn't pick this. It was just given to me. I'm so sorry. She'll have it back. But obviously when you're younger, you're like, I'm so sorry. But now looking back, it was like literally the first moment that I was like, okay,
there's like a weight to this.
There's a huge weight to this. And I was like, I really want to do this number proud. I want to do her proud. And I also like don't want to let the fans down. But that was like my first Alex experience without even meeting her. So then the next camp, I was like, here, take it back.
Yeah, please take this burden off my shoulders. I will wear any other number.
Seriously.
I do think that that's really key. It's like, obviously Alex won everything, but her impact on the game and like making the game better for all of us. Lynn, you said something like she brought us all with her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it's important to memorialize her career in all of those factors as well. Like, Alex played a huge role in the equal pay lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
She was also always kind of our official, unofficial, like spokesperson leader. Like, she would go on the morning talk shows and explain what was going on in the lawsuit. And even with our NWSL's anti-harassment policy, when Sinead Farrelly and Manashim came forward with the abuse that they had endured in the NWSL, I wanted to see, Lynn, if we could talk a little bit about Alex's role in that and the way she took responsibility for making sure that all of these issues were taken care of.
Yeah. So you can correct me if I'm wrong, but Sinead and Mana went to Alex basically and were like, this is what's happened to me. And Alex went to the league and said, we need to have an anti-harassment policy. This is not okay. And she basically fought and, like I said, used her name, used her celebrity to push this anti-harassment policy like over the line and making soccer better for all of us. But I remember having conversations with Alex and she was like, okay, when it comes to race, what needs to be in there? Like, are we missing something? Is blah, 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 and was asking a million questions because she wanted to get it right and she wanted to make sure everybody was seen in the policy. It's just another thing where like she didn't have to do that. She didn't have to use herself. And I think that she recognized what a platform she had. And she has, I think, always recognized that. And she could have gone two ways and she could have just said, you know what, I'm Alex Morgan. I'm famous. Everybody's going to love me. And that's it. And just played soccer. But she decided to use her platform and say, okay, how can I, of course, get things for myself, but also how can I make sure that I'm leaving soccer better than when I found it and leaving it in a place where everybody can feel empowered to not only fight for themselves, but fight for the next generation and fight for your colleagues, quote unquote. And so I think that is something that is incredible, but she has done that so many times in her career. She did that with the anti-harassment policy, but she kind of did that with the league. And I'm not saying she didn't have help, but like
she tasked herself with the responsibility of pushing these things forward and also like understanding the implications for all of them. Like, I think about her involvement in making the league and the national team a better place for mothers. And I think like we could go to Alex right now and ask like, well, why was this policy put into place instead of this? Why in the anti-harassment policy was it important for this detail to be in here? Why in the equal pay lawsuit did we choose this path forward with the way we get paid versus this one? And like you said, Lynn, I think that Alex could have just said, tell me what to say and I'll say it. But she never did that. She like genuinely took the burden of understanding and being able to explain back to us. Like, Alex really did know everything we were fighting for and understood why. It was just like this incredible responsibility that she understood she had to carry.
It is just so crazy though. Like, even to this day, I'm like, do we have the same amount of hours in our day? Like, how do you know like all of the information about the lawsuit? And then I swear she's like, what's happening with the CBA? What is happening with FIFA? Oh my gosh, did you watch the WNBA? Blah, 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 this happened. I have to go take care of Charlie. I'm like,
yeah, like, does she have like a board, a conference room of people each night, give her like a 15-minute update on like all the goings on?
Right.
Maybe.
And then somebody would like come in camps and start talking about something that I had never heard before.
And she'd raise her hand and say, well, what about this?
Yeah. And I'm like, wait, how did you know? This is literally the first time I'm hearing this information. How did you know that this was going to happen? She was on the, or I don't know if anymore, but she was on the athlete council. She was on the, like the amount, she started a foundation.
I think she's in like a venture capital group. Like she does it all. And I think that like it's her success on the field. Like Alex also worked really hard at soccer. Like she would always post videos of her off-season training with Beast Mode Dave. Like doing dribbling and shooting. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like she never took any aspect of her career, whether it was on the field or off, her personal life or her professional life. She never took any of it like, yeah, this is just going to happen for me because I'm Alex Morgan. Like I'm grinding, I'm doing it all, I'm working. Like, and I think that makes me feel like she deserves all the success and like she deserves all of this recognition. She also had this effect on women's soccer, Lynn, that like, you mentioned this on a previous podcast that we did, like her popularity and talent and the way people love her had such a strong impact on our league becoming the sustainable league that it is now.
100%. I said this before, but like, I don't know if there is a league without Alex Morgan. We obviously tried in the past and it didn't work. It folded. And the league that we have today and again, of course, there was people helping her, and of course, there's other people who have pushed and done things. But I generally don't think that there is this big, substantial, strong league without her. I don't even think it begins without her.
I know. And I think on top of that, all of the important and necessary changes that she's helped make, including the anti-harassment policy, including pushing for moms to have a clear path to returning to play after giving birth and then being implemented back into the teams and bringing their children on trips, having childcare, having travel. Like Alex and a lot of other moms and women in the league have pushed so hard for those things to be put into place. And I think that this is all part of Alex's legacy. Her success on the field at every single level, winning pretty much everything you could win. And then all of these other huge moments and movements that she's really spearheaded with her name and the work that she's done behind them. Something that really struck me from her video was this part that she said about her daughter, Charlie.
Charlie came up to me the other day and said that when she grows up, she wants to be a soccer player. And it just made me like immensely proud. Not because I wish for her to become a soccer player when she grows up, but because a pathway exists that even a 4-year-old can see now.
It's so incredible because I think that as a mom, you're obviously thinking about things differently than people who don't have children. And I completely agree with her. When we were growing up, obviously there was no league. There was no pathway besides the national team. And there was also, like, for me, there wasn't many people who looked like me playing soccer. So, like, for me, that's a huge thing. But for somebody who is so young, a 4-year-old, to be able to see this league and say, I want to be a soccer player is incredible. And it's not saying, I want to be on the national team, because that's what you used to say, like, I want to be on the national team, because that was the only possibility. But now, because there's so many more opportunities, there's so many different pathways. Obviously, Charlie doesn't probably comprehend everything, but the fact that she's like, I see mommy playing with her teammates all the time in San Diego, and I see her traveling and going here, and I get to go here with her, and I get to be a part of this. And it's just really cool that Charlie, but also other young girls, will be able to see that and be like, I want to do that. I want to be a soccer player. But also, I think a lot of players will say, wait, I want to be a mom and come back and play and be able to take my kid along with me. So there's just so much to it.
I know. Alex, she's incredible. She's done a lot of iconic stuff.
Naturally.
And that makes it time right now for the Olipop Gut Check of the Week, which is brought to you by the heroes over at Olipop. I have a strawberry vanilla today that I'm about to dive into because I have a little tickle in my throat and I need to have a
classic grape.
Okay, Olipop Gut Check of the Week. What's the most iconic thing Alex Morgan has done? We have a few examples here, but we are always ready to read some more examples in the comments. 1, sipping her tea at the 2019 World Cup after scoring a goal against England. 2, chest bumping in the Colombia game. Long live AM7. That was when Alex was wearing number 7, not number 13. 3, create the league's first anti-harassment policy. Pretty iconic. 4, Alex won the 2022 NWSL Golden Boot. I feel like nobody's talking about that enough. Like, that was so recent and like so sick that she's been so good for so long. Number 5, 2012 Olympic semifinal game winner versus Canada. A pretty sick goal, iconic goal that sent the U.S. to the gold medal match, which they won, which was before this year, the last time the U.S. had won a gold medal at the Olympics. Lynn, what of these stands out to you as the most iconic Alex Morgan thing?
On the field, I think that the semifinal game winner versus Canada, it's like, you doesn't score that, then you don't get an Olympic gold medal.
True.
But also the tea sipping, that picture has been everywhere.
And that was also the game-winning, well, was it the game-winning goal in that semifinal as well against England, which also sent us through to the final. So
that's tied for first.
Equally important.
But I think that the celebration is iconic. Like, people do that.
True.
And then we have continued to talk about that forever and ever, and it will live on as a picture.
You're so right. It so will. It is so iconic. I'm going to go rogue here, and I'm going to say that the AM7 days are underratedly iconic as well. AM7 is an era that I wish we saw more of.
Well, I do think that you're wrong. And I think that we have to have the tea sipping and the game winner against Canada have to be tied for one, with a little nudge to the tea sipping. But then right under that needs to be her creating the league's first anti-harassment policy.
Yeah. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tea sipping, boss, very cool. Alex is a legend. That's our Olipop gut check of the week. Let us know which of these moments, or maybe we forgot one, is the most iconic AM13 moment.
Not AM7.
AM7. Bless up. Let us know in the comments, and thank you so much, Olipop. Okay, everybody, let's talk Chaos League. Let's start with Orlando. Orlando clinched playoffs this weekend. They won their game 1-0 thanks to a Marta banger, and they've extended their unbeaten streak to 20 games. Lynn, remember when we were on the Courage? One year we had a 12-game unbeaten streak. 12, not 20. So this is pretty unbelievable. Do you remember that feeling? Like, do you think that when you're in that kind of an unbeaten streak, do you feel like you can't lose?
Yes.
Tell me more.
I think that you walk into every single game with a little bit of cockiness, and you're like, we're going to win. Not saying you're taking your opponent for granted, but you're just like, yeah, we're going to win this game. We're going to find a way no matter what.
Yeah, I agree. I think playing for the Courage always felt like when we were at home and we would like have control of a game, I just felt like we could keep it forever.
Forever.
And I was just kind of like, you guys, I don't really know what you're going to do about this. Like, we're winning 2-0 and like we have the ball, and like I don't feel threatened by you at all.
At all. And it's the best feeling. It does sound very cocky, but it's just like, yeah, I just know we're going to win and you're not going to get the ball from me.
Yeah. Orlando, I can't say I've watched every single Orlando game. They've had a lot of games, but when I do watch them, they have this really great like build of pressure so that they create a chance, and then let's say it's a rebound, the other team wins back, whatever. Orlando like wins it back high up the field. Like they create this like wall of you can't get out past us. And I think that that's just wears teams down. Like eventually you just feel so under pressure and like under the gun that you just like get a little bit mentally worn down. And I think that's one of the things that has made Orlando so successful this season.
I agree. I also think that them having Barbara Banda stretching in behind, her speed makes teams drop off. And if you don't drop off, you're going to be punished. But because they drop off, then in the midfield, there's space in the midfield, and their midfielders are incredible. I've watched them run through teams sometimes. So I think that sometimes they actually get people think they're just going long, like, oh, they're just going to kick it long. But I watched them. I'm like, no, they're playing. They are slicing and dicing people. Yeah,
their head coach, Seb Hines, is like doing something incredible with them. This is the first time they're going to make playoffs since 2017, which is unbelievable. And they're so far ahead. Like Orlando has been having such a remarkable season. It's cool from the outside to watch.
I am interested to see what happens now that they have clinched, though. Like, do you start rotating your team? Do you continue to build those connections and keep the same team going? Can you rest people? Like, there's like a lot of questions I'm interested to see, because a lot of pressure is like off their shoulders.
Knowing that Orlando doesn't have all these midweek games like you guys have, if I'm Orlando, as long as don't take any chances with injury or anything, but like I would keep the same starting group going and like keep them in form.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Okay, Lynn, I want to talk about Gotham. You guys won 2-1 over Houston. You got the game-winning assist. You're back playing. You're making magic happen, being Lynn Williams in front of goal. The leg sleeve is taking its vengeance out on the NWSL. Talk to us about your game and your assist.
Our game was great. I felt bad for the girls a little bit because they went to Orlando, obviously didn't get the result we wanted. And then the girls went to Costa Rica for this CONCACAF tournament that we are playing in, that if we win, we will qualify for the first ever Women's Club World Cup.
Right.
So we actually have 9 extra games in our season with that tournament.
Oh my
which
gosh.
Is crazy. So we had a 3-game week, came back, played Houston this Sunday. And the girls, a little tired, naturally.
Girls were a little tired.
Costa Rica's far. They played on Thursday. We had a game on Sunday. It's tough. But we got the win. We grinded it out. And I think that is just a testament to our team and the character and the group and the talent. And then I was so lucky enough to get back on the field, and Mandy played a ball over the top, and it was going out of bounds. And I said to myself, Lynn, should you let this go out of bounds to get a corner, or should you cross it? And at the last second, I saw Esther and I said, I'll cross it. And
I'll cross it. Wait, what is it again? If I don't know what I'm doing, she doesn't know what I'm doing.
Exactly. If I don't know, she doesn't know. And that's how you confuse them. And then Esther did her magic.
Esther did do her magic. It was a great goal, Lynn. I think it was very emblematic of your impact on a game, late in the game, coming on, making this decision to get the ball in front of goal, being a little bit scrappy around there. And you guys won your game 2-1. You beat Houston.
Scrap City.
Rock on, Scrap City. This also, all of the news was so focused this weekend on Alex Morgan's retirement. But Sinead Farrelly also celebrated her retirement this weekend at the Gotham game. So, Lynn, I wanted to ask you how that was, and kind of if we could do a similar thing and really talk about Sinead's impact on the NWSL and on soccer in general. I think just for people who might not be sure of this, Sinead was one of the players who came forward with the help and the support of Alex Morgan a couple of years ago to tell her story about abuse that had occurred in the NWSL years ago. And it was the catalyst for a lot of positive change in the league, including the implementation of the first anti-harassment policy. And I think that Sinead's impact on this league and on the game required for her to have so much bravery.
Yeah, Sinead, I'm so happy that we got the win for her and to be able to send her off with a win and a celebration. Unfortunately, she had to retire this past year due to post-concussive syndrome. She has had a couple of concussions, so her and the doctor decided it was best for her to retire due to her health and safety. But something that she said after the game has stuck with me. She, rightfully so, was very nervous to come back and play soccer. And she was like, I'm going to have to face all this trauma. And she even said every single game she would have flashbacks of moments that happened to her, which it was the first time I was hearing that. But she said part of her was so scared to try things because she was scared of all the traumatic things that had happened to her and scared to feel all those things. But the reverse of that was then she was closing herself off to also finding joy again. And she said, obviously her career or the ending of her career wasn't what she wanted it to be, but she has transformed because now she's like, I found my joy again. I was able to open back up. And yes, I felt all these traumatic things. I had to face it head on, but I also was then able to open myself up to all these beautiful possibilities and these beautiful moments. And she said she just is such a more joyous person now and able to see joy in everything. And I think that is so Sinead when I hear it. And she created this journal and it had a beautiful message in it to the fans. And I'm just happy that she feels at peace with her decision and going into this next phase of her life. And I'm happy that she was able, it seems like, to come back and have this therapeutic moment. And so I'm just really happy for her. I'm sad that we aren't going to be seeing her around, at least at Gotham as much. She hasn't been here obviously as much. She's been doing therapy and everything, but she's just such an awesome person, and she has impacted this league probably more than she ever expected to. And obviously she went through something traumatic, but then like it's crazy that like her and Alex are tied together and they're both have the retirement game at the same time. And
I know when I think back on that time being asked questions in the investigation that followed, it required a lot of bravery from anybody who participated, but to be the one that the story really centered around and hinged upon, I think I'm so grateful to her for being able and willing to share that and to be vulnerable about that and to help us all use that as this really, really pivotal thing to promise change off of. I have so much respect for Sinead and for Manashim, who was involved in that as well. And I hope that Sinead has a lot of peace in that. And I'm really grateful to her, as I think are all the players and everybody who will ever play in the NWSL. Her actions have helped make it a safer place to be.
I couldn't agree more.
Around the rest of the league, the Spirit beat the Thorns 2-1 thanks to a late Lacey Santos goal. Lynn, Magic Johnson was in attendance because he recently joined the Spirit ownership group, and then Trin scored a goal and ran over and celebrated with a dunk, a slam dunk motion.
Have you seen a picture of it?
Yeah, it's so funny.
It's so funny.
That was so sick. Sad news for the Spirit though occurred earlier in the week when star midfielder rookie Croy Bethune actually tore her meniscus throwing out the first pitch at the Washington Nationals game. Ooh. So Croy, sadly, is out for the remainder of the season.
Devastating. We are obviously hoping that Croy has a speedy recovery. She was having a very iconic season.
I know.
And I just could only imagine what she was going to do and the stats and the numbers that she was going to put up if she was able to finish the season. So I know she's wanting to get back quick and healthy so she can do it again next year. So we are so sorry to hear that, but I just know that she's young. She'll be good.
Those young tissues heal right up,
yeah,
for sure.
She's got those young knees.
I feel like Croy is also still probably going to win Rookie of the Year. She's had just such a sick season. She's scoring goals and assists in literally every game. I also think this is a signal that baseball is just canceled now. Sorry, no, I heard no more baseball.
We're making an enemy with the baseball. With all of the baseball.
Okay, around the rest of the league, Temwa Chewinga extended her goal scoring for Kansas City. She scored 8 goals in 8 consecutive games, which is crazy. This is an 8-game goal streak. Lynn, how nuts is this?
Nuts. That's nuts. It's just so the efficiency of that and the
very efficient.
And I don't know, just the ability to always be in a position to score is pretty insane. And not only in a position, but then to actually finish your chances every time it's nuts.
I know. I saw Lola Bonta doing press, and she's kind of was joking, saying that their game plan, she goes, "You guys should see our game plan. It's literally just pass it to Chewinga." And then Lo was kind of no, I'm just kidding. But it kind of is. And it reminded me of in Kicking and Screaming with Will Ferrell when the whole game plan is to pass to the Italians.
Exactly. I mean, she's like a cheat code.
I know. She's nasty. She's so good. Okay. Angel City sold to Bob Iger in Willow Bay. It's officially complete for $250 million. This is another huge moment for the women's game. This price tag, $250 million, is more than double the highest record club sale, which was $120 million for the Wave. Lynn, but this Bob Iger is the Disney CEO, and it makes me wonder, when you have big celebrity names come into your ownership group, I know Gotham has Eli Manning and Sue Bird and Kevin Durant. Does it change anything? Did the players feel the impact of having a new owner, or did these people come around the club more?
Eli Manning has come around the club quite a bit. I think that it's interesting. Obviously we don't see where the finances, we don't know the books. And I think that is, that is more of our concern, is just knowing how much we're pushing the league and how much we want better for the league. It's not necessarily the name, but the money that it's attached with, which sounds really messed up, but it's true. That's sports. At the end of the day, it's a business. So I think that, yes, of course, it's very exciting that we have these celebrities who can also, I think, use their platform to help push the narrative of women's sports. That part is very exciting. But the other side of that is okay, where's the money?
Well, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I don't know much about Disney obviously is a huge company, and like the insight that this person is bringing is of course valuable, but to have former athletes, more like what Gotham has with like Eli Manning, or even like Magic Johnson with the Spirit, to have an athlete's perspective, I would think would be really valuable.
Agreed.
If the rest of your ownership group or the GM or whatever is kind of like, well, should we get charter flights or does it really matter?
Exactly.
The athletes are going to be like, you should get charter flights. Like, okay, here, I'll write the check.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that that's what I'm saying about like using their celebrity to push things forward. It's just like they've been there, they've experienced it.
Yeah. Their athletic experience is what is a really, really valuable part, of course, along with the purse.
With the purse? I have purse?
I have purse. So the Ballon d'Or shortlist is out. The Ballon d'Or is the award given out annually for the best soccer player in the world over the course of the previous year. It's been given out on the women's side since 2018. Lynn, I don't know. I always pronounce it wrong, weird, different. Ballon d'Or, Ballon d'Or, Balloon d'Or. How do you think we say it?
The Ballon d'Or. Isn't it French?
Yeah.
So like we're not French, so we're just never going to say it right.
Whatever. So anyway, in exciting news, this year, 5 U.S. women's national team players are on the nominations list. Trinity Rodman, Sophia Smith, Mal Swanson, Triple Espresso, what up? And then Alyssa Nair and Lindsay Horan. This is an incredible accomplishment. Like, to get recognized for this prestigious of an award is really a huge deal. But the snub heard around the world, Lynn. I think if people were going to talk about the first player to be on the list, it would have been Naomi Girma. And she's not on this list of like 30 names. What's your take on this?
They made an error. Like, I think that they made a printing error. They need to go back.
I feel like they should literally add her, because it's like, if I was making this list, I probably would have put her first.
Well, it showed how many people got nominations on the graphic. Like, can I put in a nomination? Because I'll put in 5, 10, 100 nominations for her.
So France football does the nominations, because this is like a French award. They have since 1956. Sounds antiquated to me. Sounds like you need a little bit of the women's game, putting in some nominations. Lynn and Sam and Becky each get 10 slips.
Because there's 30 total nominations we just found out. So I'll get 10, you get 10, Becky gets 10. And we'll put them all to Naomi.
We'll get Naomi right up in there. I think it's a wild snub. Like, people have been snubbed before. This is obviously an error, as Lynn put it. Do awards really matter, Lynn? Like, is this something... Do you think Naomi cares?
I think yes. Right?
If I were her, I'd be like,
I think that Naomi knows how good she is. Not in a cocky way at all, because that's the most humble person I've ever met in my entire life. I want only good things to ever happen to her. So like in the grand scheme, I don't think she cares, but I think that there is other implications that come along with winning that prestigious award. Sponsor.
Yeah, true.
Whoa.
Sponsorship revenue.
That was hard to say. Sponsorship revenue.
Straight into your own personal bank account.
Like, I don't know, being able to say you were the best in the world.
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I know. I think it's like, look, Naomi will get nominated in the future, obviously. And I think that that's something for her and everybody to keep in mind. But obviously, this is a snub. I don't think it's right that she's not on there.
She should go anyways and just go up on stage and say, thank you for the award. I won.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, very exciting to have so many U.S. players on it. I think historically we've had fewer than 5. So it was really great to see all those players being recognized for their incredible years and seasons. But we are sad that Naomi's not on there. Let's get to some fan questions, everybody. As a reminder, if you have a question for us, you can write to us at womensgamemib@menandblazers.com, and I'll read your questions right here on the show. Last week, Lynn, we asked Becky about clones. I liked the question so much that it's now time for the return of the clones. Darcy, your question's getting read on this show twice. Lynn, this is the question. If the 3 of us, you, me, and Becky, were together in person, an identical clone of each of us also showed up, what would you get them to do or ask them to prove who the actual ones were?
Oh.
Yeah. Turned out I don't really know Becky at all, because I said I would come rushing in to hug you guys. And then, like, I know that you would kind of be like, why are we hugging? This is dumb and we don't hug. But then Becky was like, I love hugs. And I was like, oh, oops.
Oh.
I would have assumed Becky didn't really like hugs.
I would ask Becky's clone about like books or something. I would say, what's Zola's favorite book? Book
Good
series. And then I would say, what's your cat's name? Stuff
Okay.
like that.
All right. That's a good one. Those are good.
For you, I would say, what's Finn's nickname?
Oh. You know what I've been calling Finn a lot lately? Mr. Muffins.
I'd say, why are you calling him that?
I don't know, because his name, like Muffin, kind of has the word Finn in it. And it just kind of like tumbles out of my mouth.
Explain that more.
Muffin.
Okay. You explained it. Fine. Jeez.
And the clone would just be, what do you think the clone would say?
It'd be Finner. Say, that's Finner. Finny.
Finsky Doodle Cakes.
I would say,
Finmeister Jones.
I'd say, talk with your hands. And if they did the same hand movements as you, I'd be like, oh, now I'm confused.
Okay, speaking of hands, I did want to read one more new email from
Well,
Daniela
you didn't do
this
me.
week. I already did. I told you the hugging thing. I would go in for a big hug. Or maybe I'd go like this and I'd run up to you, and if you chest bumped me, I'd know it was you. If you're listening to this on audio, not watching on YouTube, I just got big and tapped my chest hard.
I like that. Okay.
All right. One more quick. Daniela says, love you guys and your podcast so much. My question for you is, if you could have any 5 liquids on tap from your fingers infinitely, what would they be?
Coffee. Olipop.
Duh.
LaCroix.
Water, sparkling water, or?
Sparkling LaCroix water. What's
No,
yours?
you don't want flat water.
I'll just leave my LaCroix out. I'll get flat.
Ew.
Could-
I want flat water as one because that's just,
Oh, you want LaCroix and flat water.
yeah.
Okay, then what's your 5th one?
I might go a little alcoholic beverage,
Ooh.
like a little bit of wine. Keep it classy.
Ooh. A red or a white?
I think probably a orange or a pink.
You are all about those orange pink wines.
I know.
Okay, I'm doing Olipop, coffee, LaCroix, some kind of juice, honestly. Like, I need a juice in my life, like an apple juice.
Okay.
And
What
one
about
margarita.
milk? A margarita. I might go milk. I might have to switch something out for a milk.
Probably one of your waters.
One of my
have-
waters can become a milk, a nice whole milk. Just
Really?
in case you're ever in a pickle and you have
Yeah.
black coffee in your hand, you just need a little splash of milk. But I'd never be in a pickle because I'd have my coffee, hopefully with milk already in it, coming out of my thumb.
Stop doing that with your thumb.
Okay, we need to move on. Daniela, this question was too good and it's going to make this podcast go way over time. This is the end of the episode, Lynn. I'm really sad. I want to keep talking about liquids coming out of my hands.
Out of your phalanges.
Out of my these are my phalange spouts.
Yuck.
Lynn, what's your good vibe? What do you want to leave our beautiful, beautiful listeners with?
I don't have one yet. You go.
To just continue dreaming of different and unique ways that we can have liquids come out of our phalanges. That's my good vibe. I just hope everybody is sparked with that kind of creativity, passion, and belief, and love and joy.
Okay, my good vibe is just to support your friends when they say weird stuff like that.
Well,
Love you so much.
we're both vibing today, aren't we? Okay, everybody, that's it for this week's episode of Good Vibes FC. Are you subscribed yet? If not, please subscribe right now, you purple people eater. It's available wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube and on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok and Threads at Women's Game MIB. This week on Thursday, we have an interview with Rachel Kundananji of Zambia and Bay FC. We talked to her all about growing up playing sports in Zambia. Lynn, did you know that she didn't really start playing soccer officially until she was 17 years old, which was only 7 years ago?
It's like an absurd stat.
I know, and now she had the highest record transfer fee in women's soccer ever. Rachel was such a warm and happy person, and I really loved speaking with her. So tune in on Thursday for more from Rachel. All right, everybody, that's it from me. Goodbye.
I'm Lynn Williams.
And I'm Sam Mewis, and this is Good Vibes FC. Okay, love you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Love you. Bye.